I've had lots of requests to share with you my typical cost of living here in Northern Portugal. So if that sounds interesting to you today, let's dive in. Stay all the way to the end where I'll add up all of my typical monthly expenses so you can see the total amount that I pay on average living in Northern Portugal. All right, let's start with rent. I've decided I really have no interest in owning right now. So I rent a small apartment here in town, and I have a really nice one bedroom, very small apartment right here in the historic district. And I only pay about 750 euros for this apartment, and it's fully furnished. And what that means here, it doesn't mean that it's got the furniture. It means that it's furnished with a stove and a refrigerator and lighting, because yes, it's true, here in Portugal, and actually throughout much of Europe, it is very common that when you rent a place, it doesn't have those things. It doesn't have a dishwasher or a refrigerator or a stove or even lighting. When you move into a place here, you're usually required to do that. But here, where I'm living, I get to have all of that already installed. Now, before I lived here, I lived in a small village just 10 minutes from here, a very, very small village, and I had a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath, old stone villa, literally right on a river, within walking distance to the ocean and walking distance to the mountain trails. And that place was only about 1,400 a month. Now, two totally different kinds of living experiences. Here I have heat and I've got AC, and there I didn't have heat or AC, which is very common here in Portugal. While here, if I get chilly, I can turn the heat on and my whole place will be warm in no time at all. But when I lived in this little village, if I got cold, I would just have to start up a fire. I had a little wood stove in the living area, and that is pretty normal for here in Portugal. Many people, either they just do without or they'll have a wood stove. So 1,400 bucks to live in a beautiful stone villa with a private garden in a beautiful little village, or 750 for a teeny tiny little 1-bedroom apartment in town. My monthly water expense is right around 20 euros. My electricity for just one person in this tiny little place is typically right around 35 euros a month. Even in the big house, the villa that I stayed in the wintertime, the expenses there were quite a bit more because I had to run dehumidifiers on every floor constantly. So even with that, my cost of electricity in the villa was at its highest in the wintertime, probably around 70 euros a month. Gas here, I don't have a gas expense because I don't have anything that runs on gas here. I have an electric cooktop. There I had gas, but it wasn't gas that was piped into the house. Another thing that's also very common here is that when you don't have gas pumped into the house, you just have the gas canisters. And so those can either be delivered every month or you can go out and get them, and they're just like 30 bucks a month. So that was my gas expense at the other house. Home appliances can be really expensive. Just like anything electronic here, those things tend to be really expensive. Let's say you need to get a dishwasher or a refrigerator. Those things are going to be quite a bit more. For me, like I got a juicer. The same juicer that I got in the United States for like 200 bucks was about double that here. I don't have a lot of things in my kitchen. I have my juicer, I've got a blender, and I have my electric tea kettle. And so those things, I think that they're probably about double what they are in the States. Cell phones. So again, anything that's electrical is going to be more expensive. And part of that is because there is a really high import cost on these things. Most of them are not made here. So you have that added import cost as well. You can expect to pay more for cell phones, but that is going to level out because whatever you pay for your cell phone monthly in the United States, this is going to be a dream. So in the United States, I paid well over $200 a month for my cell phone, and it didn't include all these other things. Here in Portugal, I pay 62 euros a month, and that covers my phone, my daughter's phone. That includes home cable if we wanted it. We don't use it, but it also includes home internet. 62 euros, my friends. Okay, car expenses. This is where you're going to get bit in the butt. Cars are very expensive to have over here. I have a very old car. I think my car is probably about 15 years old. You'd never know it. It looks pretty darn new. They take very, very good care of their cars over here. My insurance per year is about 350 euros a year for my car insurance. Gas for the car is very expensive, although I've heard that gas in the United States right now is also very expensive. Gas over here is about, I think it's about $1.70 a liter, so you multiply that by 4 for a gallon. For all of these things, you have to consider the exchange rate. You have to add about 10%. So whatever these prices are that I'm giving you, just add 10% and that'll tell you what it is in dollars. Oil change. An oil change over here is about 70 euros. That's pretty normal, and it doesn't include topping off all of the fluids and things like that. That's going to be a slightly extra fee on top of that. Car rental prices in small towns are going to be really affordable during the off season. I have a friend who during the off season, she doesn't own a car. She just rents a car and she pays like 8 to 10, maybe 8 to 10 euros a day, and then she just rents it for a few months. And then during the high season, she just takes the car back. And the price for car rentals in the high season is actually quite a bit higher. Road tolls. All right, so they don't seem like much if you're just driving here and there on the toll roads. If I want to take the toll road from Viana do Castelo down to Porto, it's about an hour drive. That's going to be about 2.5 euros each way. Not that bad. It's just if you're doing it every day, it certainly adds up. Bolt and Uber. Bolt is the same thing as Uber. It's just less money. They're the same exact thing. It's just for some reason, Bolt costs less. So in town, you can get trips for 2 to 3 euros typically. It doesn't cost much at all. And that includes in the big cities like Lisbon and Porto. We've got a really great train system here along the coast, but sadly, the train does not really go into the center of the country yet. That's a long way off, I'm afraid. We do have buses that go into the center of the country, but trains aren't really going there yet. So if I wanted to take a train up to Caminha, it's like 25 minutes, that would be, maybe 3 euros. And if I wanted to take the train from Viana do Castelo down to Porto, it's about an hour ride. That is 10 euros each way. So it's a little bit more expensive, but it's totally worth it to not have to deal with any traffic or parking or anything like that. All right, so what about things like beauty care, like hair care? In the States, I used to pay a bundle to get my hair done. Every 2 months, I would shell out about $300 to get my locks highlighted and trimmed. Ridiculous, I know, right? Here, I pay 85 euros, and that is at a really nice top-end salon. 85 euros to get my highlights done and to get a trim. Now, that is at the high end. And sure, I could go somewhere else and pay half that, which I have done, and I won't do it again, because there is definitely a difference in the level of education and experience. So yeah, I'm willing to pay $85 every couple months to get my hair done. For girls that like to get manicures and pedicures, which is really common here, you can go to places that will charge around 18 euros for a manicure or a pedicure. Again, I go to a place that is a little bit nicer and they charge about 30 euros. I get massage on a regular basis thanks to a few injuries that I have. I can go to a gal here in town and she offers a pretty okay massage for 25 bucks for an hour. But when I want to be treated really right, I go to a very nice spa in the town across the river here. It's a top-end spa, and for a massage that lasts 75 minutes, it's about 80 euros, which is a really good deal for a top-level massage. And I also am allowed to use the sauna, the Turkish bath, and their beautiful pool. So 85 euros feels like a bargain to me. That same massage in the States would be a couple $100. I get physical therapy on a regular basis here. In the United States, if I were to go and receive the same kind of treatment that I get here, it would easily cost $300 to $400 a shot. That's why I never did it there. I simply cannot afford that. Here, I pay 42 euros per session, and that includes specific massage on the area affected. It includes chiropractic adjustments, ozone therapy, acupuncture, few other things I can't remember. There's this thing that they do where they inject my whole back and my neck with this homeopathic that helps to decrease the inflammation. And all of that and other stuff that I can't remember right now is only 42 euros. All right, for gals that are interested in getting Botox, there's a place down in Porto that they give you like, I guess it's 50 units for 250 euros. I don't know if that's a good deal or not, but you can tell I don't do it. I got all these wrinkles. Yep, I'm getting old. But for gals that want Botox, 250 bucks for 50 units of Botox. For gals that want to have the facial wax and the brow shaping, it's 5 euros. It's super cheap. Laser hair removal. Okay, I had this done in the States and it was thousands of dollars. Here, it's like 25 to maybe 45 euros per section. And so it's like, it's way, way less. It's less than half as much over here. I would say it's probably about a quarter of the price that it is in the United States. Gym memberships. So I've paid as little as 16 euros a month for a gym membership. That did not include a pool or a sauna or any of that kind of stuff. It was just like the workout room, and it also included classes. So any yoga classes, Pilates classes, all that kind of stuff. Now in a slightly bigger town with a nicer gym that does include a pool and a sauna, a steam room, and all that kind of stuff, it's about 55 euros a month. What about entertainment? Movie theaters here are so much more affordable. I've only paid about 6 euros for a movie ticket, and then popcorn is a couple euros more. So it's not gonna break the bank if you wanna go and see a good movie. And a fun thing about movies here in Portugal, they're all in English with Portuguese subtitles. A big one that people always ask me about is health insurance and health care. And I can tell you, I have had the best health care here that I've ever had in my whole life. Last year I had to have surgery and it would have been completely covered by the private healthcare system here, but I had to wait for months. And I was so sick that I just couldn't wait. So I decided to pay out of pocket. And that surgery was only 3,500 euros. And that included a stay in the hospital, and it also included all of the follow-up care. If I had had that same surgery in the United States, it would have cost between, on the very low end, $12,000 to, I've seen it for as much as $18,000 and $20,000. And that doesn't include a stay in the hospital. It doesn't include follow-up care. The care here was absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, I am an absolute believer in the healthcare here. Health insurance here is also so much more affordable than it is in the United States. I pay 1,600 euros a year for health insurance for my daughter and I. She's 21, going on 22, and for the both of us, it's 1,600 euros a year, and that includes just about everything, with minimal fees for doctor's visits and things like that. So a doctor's visit here with health insurance costs about 12 euros, and if you need to see a specialty doctor, those are usually right around 75 euros. I've paid as little as €1.25 for x-rays and 10 or 12 euros for an MRI. In the States, I had to get an MRI there and it was well over $1,000 out of pocket. Prescriptions are honestly almost not even worth talking about. They're so inexpensive over here that I just don't even think about it. And what about groceries? I tend to eat really, really well, and I eat very high quality food. My grocery expense for the month is typically around 250 euros a month. And on top of that, I spend about 300 euros a month on eating out. I typically eat out 3, 4, 5 times a week. I'll get the prato do dia, which is anywhere between 8, 10, 12 euros a day. And it oftentimes includes the meal and a lot of times a half a carafe of wine, which honestly is way too much for me. I also enjoy going to the pastelaria and getting a coffee or maybe a little pastry. An espresso here is right around 80 cents. And if you want something like a cappuccino, those are like $1.50. Pastries will be anywhere from $1.20 to 2 euros. Beer is around €1.25, and a wine might be around 2 euros. All right, so you made it all the way to the end. The total amount that I typically spend each month to live a really good life here in Portugal is between 1,800 and 2,000 euros a month. If you found this helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. And if you enjoyed this video, you're gonna love this one.